Hey, what's up, guys? I like to make a lot of videos on topics that I had personal conversations with people online normally, and I make a lot of comments on steroid influencers posts when they're talking about different cycles, etc., etc. So I mentioned that I do NPP, and somebody says they do DECA, and do they recommend NPP, etc. So I explained why I recommend NPP, which I'll get into in this video. But it also coincides with this video I watched the other day, which is from Scott McNally from, I think it's called Blood, Sweat, and Gear, with what's the other guys that are on it? Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's a great podcast. I recommend watching that. But they broke down all different steroids on, like, whether it's A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, etc. And it was interesting to see how they broke different steroids down from guys who are coaches and been in the game for a long time. But it coincides with things that my research as well. So I'll share with you exactly that. So this guy was wondering, should you run NPP instead of DECA? And I recommend it. And I recommend it because of just the straight fact that it has a shorter half-life. NPP has a half-life that's comparable to testosterone cypionate, okay? Which is great because when you start taking it, it starts to work fast. When I start taking NPP, I know at the end of the first week, but by the end of the second week, definitely fullness, definitely adding extra reps. You know, you think that you're done your set, but you still got like 5 more reps in reserve ready to go. Just keep going, right? Keep pumping through reps. Your strength increases. All of a sudden, you're moving full stacks, etc., etc. So that's why it's a great compound. That's what it's known for, is putting on mass and putting on muscle. But what's the difference between NPP and DECA anyway? First of all, it's the same compound, which is nandrolone, okay? But the thing is, it has different esters, different half-lives, okay? Which is essentially just a random branch that's on the base molecule in itself. So what that does is DECA just lasts way longer, okay? That's what I was mentioning before. And for some people, that's desirable because they're running kind of longer cycles, and maybe they don't inject as frequency. I don't know. Maybe it has better blood serum concentration levels. I don't know. I think that could be fixed by just injecting, as I do, every other day with your testosterone. I recommend injecting at least every other day. Some people recommend even every day. So adding NPP works great. I made a video the other day where you can even use it to kickstart a cycle. Just run it for the first 2 or 3 weeks and then take it out and then run like higher test levels. That would totally work as well. Now, the interesting thing about this podcast I watched was they rated DECA as a C and D tier between the two of them. Okay, so it's essentially one that they don't even recommend taking. Okay, but here's the thing: they recommended NPP as an A tier, like that's like the top tier, which is exactly how I would rate it. I would rate it as an A tier. It's like my go-to compound. This guy's waving me through to drive through. Thanks, brother. It's an A tier compound for me because it just works, and it doesn't have the androgenic side effects, and it doesn't affect my blood so bad. Like if you ran it for extended periods of time, especially higher doses, I believe it will increase hematocrit, red blood cell, and blood viscosity. I believe it will, especially when you're running higher test levels. And if you run it too high, you'll run into other issues that nandrolone side effect profile has, prolactin, even decadic and things like that, and psychological issues. So that's why I don't run it any more than 300 milligrams a week. Even a little less than that's totally fine by me. It's just like letting the test do the work and Mastron ideally, and then just adding that as a filler that's going to boost everything up, boost up your strength, boost up everything without having any bad side effect profile. Nandrolone does that beautifully. It's one that you can work when you're trying to build mass. If you want to increase your mass, it works great. If you want to even run like more of a recomp, it works great. Even if I believe you can even run it like even if you wanted to stay lean. Okay, it's nandrolone's known for putting on some water weight, but it doesn't have to be, especially when you run something alongside it like master run, okay, or just not high test levels, because the higher tests you run, the more bloated you get as well. The beauty thing is when you add it on a stack on top of tests, instead of running like a high test base, you just run a moderate test base, and then you add the nandrolone. You'll have the beauty of the anabolic effects without the estrogenic / androgenic effects, okay? And it does boost mood, and I believe in a good way. It does boost gym performance in a great way, but you got to be careful, because I believe it does affect your central nervous system. So if you run too much, it might add agitation / anxiety / quote roid rage, but nothing like Trembolone will do, unless maybe you run it at a super high dose, okay? That's just my experience. Maybe different people, it adds too much anxiety, okay? So I recommend running NPP over DECA, even though I've never run DECA, but it's just like, what's the point? Why would you run a compound that's so, the half-life is so long, especially when you're a beginner, because you really don't know what dose to take that's going to affect you potentially negatively. So even if you keep titrating up your doses, and you run into problems, then you pull back, well, you're kind of stuck with that for maybe a few weeks, you know what I mean? Maybe if you're gonna feel like shit, maybe your dick doesn't work, I don't know, like the whole wheel of fortune spin of side effects, you don't know what's going to happen. Meanwhile, NPP, just like testosterone, you boost it up to you potentially do run into side effects, and then once you do, you pull back, and maybe you got to deal with it for a few days, but it's not that bad, and after that you'll be fine, okay? So that's great. This cycle that I'm currently on, I only had enough to run at the beginning of the cycle, so I kind of used it as a Kickstarter on my essentially 400 milligram a week test only cycle, and that worked great. Like I just like all of a sudden filled the fuck out, because I came off some aggressive cuts lately. I was deflated, you know. I don't have the same strength as I did a year ago in my last like true cycle, so it's like it kickstarted things pretty well, and that's what it's good for. It's like, you know, when you're on it very quickly, you don't have to wait, there's no patience, and then when you go off it, it clears relatively fast. So that's what I'm going to say about DECA, other than maybe, you know, it depends on what your goals are, okay? Like performance wise, it's going to be better. Strength wise, better. Looks wise, muscle fullness, better. So in that sense, that's why it's an A tier, because I really don't see the negatives, unless you just abuse it and you run it stupid and you don't know what the hell you're doing. Then you might run into side effects just like any compound, okay? But if you run it smart, it is, I agree, a total A tier class compound. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what your comments are in the comments below on NPP compared to DECA, okay? Thank you. Bye.